So before the pandemic, I worked for a global company, and we had offices all over the world. And I was a trainer. I trained people on our software. And eventually I became the manager and had to travel all over the world and evaluate my trainers. And so I was, in Tokyo and Prague and, Kuala Lumpur and, Sydney and all of these things but everyone was like, Kat, you're gonna have to go to India eventually. And we had an office in Bengaluru, also known as Bangalore, in southern India. And I knew this, right? But for me, I was excited to go. Like the yoga motherland, the food, it was like, rock on. But some people said, oh, it's just horrible. India's horrible. And some people just were like, God, I miss India so much, and I can't wait to go back. And then there are the people who kind of fell into both categories. But I was just interested to see what my experience would be like. So pretty much the second I touched down in Deep Plain, some guy runs over and grabs all my bags and is like, oh, this is a tourist service at the airport, which it wasn't. They charged me $50, and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna expense it, just get me out of here. I get in the cab, and we get to the hotel grounds, and before we can even enter the grounds, we have to have our car checked for bombs. And then I go through airport security again just to enter the hotel. And, but I get in and I take a shower and I go for a walk. And I notice that everyone's head is turning and looking at me. And I'm just thinking it's because I'm hyperhidrotic, which is, a scientific way of saying I sweat like a whore in church, So I was like, yeah, it's just because I'm such a sweaty Betty, So the next morning, I go back to the hotel, have to definitely shower again since it's hotter than a fart in a jar in India at all times. And then the next morning, get up and I kind of make all of the staff at the hotel giggle over my oohing and awing over a Southern Indian breakfast, which is killer, by the way, and all mangoes that you buy in the United States are dry and mealy, just so you're aware. Okay, so then I decide to take a tour. So I get with my tour guide and we go out, and he takes me to these enormous, gorgeous stucco government buildings that are glistening under the Indian sun, that are right next to these dilapidated shacks that people live in. And it was very striking to me. And then we went over to a, old castle/museum, right, that they had. It was, an old castle turned into a museum. And truth be told, anytime you go into a museum in India, you see these beautiful stories and information about the history of the culture, and these beautiful display cases, and these beautiful, places where the artifact should be, and then a sign there that says, oh, the British stole this, so we don't actually have it. But what was far more striking to me about this particular museum visit was that I was insanely popular. I was having scores of people come up to me and ask to have their picture taken with me, and ask if I would hug their children, or hold this baby, or put on your sunglasses, now take them off, now put them on, now take them off. And I, at first, just thought, just American, and this is the thing, right? But it became egregious, and I finally went over to my tour guide and said, why does everyone want my picture? And before I could even finish the question, he said, it's because you are so pale. And I was suddenly very taken aback, right? I was a nerd in high school. I had been enjoying the attention, right? In high school, I got a varsity letter in band, choir, and academics. Okay, so I kind of felt like, George Santos at a lie detector convention. I was just all about it. But with this, that they think that your skin is nicer than theirs. And I did a deep Google on this later. And if you look at the contestants in an Indian beauty pageant, they're not much darker than I am. But that's certainly not representative of the populace of India. And suddenly I didn't want to be popular anymore. How am I supposed to go in and tell these people that, yeah, sure, like you think I'm somehow beautiful? You want me to hold your baby? You want me to be in your family pictures of your family trip because of the shade of my skin? And truth be told, I didn't know what to do with that. And I still don't.